Welcome to PH Insight. Know the force behind the flag. Whether it's warships, fighter jets, or the next big defense move, if it matters to Philippine security, it's here. For more than 2 decades, the Philippine Air Force, PAF, has dreamt of having true fighter jets that can stand side by side with the region's most capable air forces. Now, after years of delays, political debates, and budget struggles, that dream appears closer than ever to becoming a reality. According to a new report by Max Defense Philippines, one of the country's most credible defense watchers, the long-awaited contract signing and notice to proceed, NTP, for the first batch of Multirole Fighters, MRFs, could finally be released before the end of 2025. If true, this development marks a historic turning point for Philippine defense and could reshape the nation's air power in the coming decade. But why does this matter so much, and what does it mean for the Philippine security future? To answer that, we need to take a closer look at the story behind the MRF program, the choices on the table, and the challenges ahead. The Philippine Air Force has often been described as one of Asia's most underfunded and under-equipped air arms. For years, it lacked modern fighter jets, relying instead on a small fleet of FA-50PH light combat aircraft from South Korea. While the FA-50 has been a valuable platform for training and limited strike missions, it is not a full-fledged multi-role fighter. In a region where neighbors like Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand operate advanced fighters such as the F-16, Sukhoi Su-30, and even the new Su-35, the Philippines has been left behind. This lack of credible air power has become more glaring in the face of growing tensions with China in the West Philippine Sea. Talks about acquiring fighter jets have been ongoing since the early 2000s, when the last of the PAF's F-5A Freedom fighters were retired. Several options were studied over the years: second-hand F-16s from the US, refurbished Mirage 2000s from France, and even new-generation jets from Europe. However, budget shortfalls, shifting priorities, and political hesitation repeatedly delayed the program. Instead, the Philippines opted for a more affordable solution in the 2010s, the FA-50 from South Korea. While these jets were a step forward, they were never intended to be the final answer. Fast forward to the second horizon of the AFP modernization program, 2018 to 2022, and the government finally approved the MRF project. By then, 2 main contenders emerged: Saab JAS-39 Gripen C/D from Sweden, Lockheed Martin F-16V Block 7072 Viper from the United States. Later on, discussions also included the KF-21 Boramae from South Korea, though this aircraft remains in development and will not be operational until later this decade. For years, the decision was stuck in limbo. The pandemic, funding challenges, and changing leadership slowed down the process. But now, Max Defense reports that the deal is finally moving forward. According to Max Defense Philippines, the contract signing and NTP for the first batch of MRFs are expected before the end of 2025. This means, the government has secured the budget for the acquisition. Negotiations with the chosen supplier are nearly complete. The Department of National Defense, DND, is preparing to formally authorize the contractor to begin work. The notice to proceed, NTP, is particularly important. It's the legal document that tells the supplier, you can start manufacturing, delivering, and providing services now. Once this is issued, the countdown to delivery officially begins. If things go smoothly, the Philippines could see its first MRF deliveries as early as 2026, possibly in time for the tail end of President Marcos Jr.'s term. The final decision will have long-term consequences for the Philippines' defense posture. Choosing the Gripen means lower operating costs, faster integration, and an aircraft designed for smaller budgets. But it also risks being politically complicated if Sweden imposes restrictions on combat use. Choosing the F-16V means stronger alignment with the United States, greater access to American training and logistics, and the credibility of a fighter with decades of combat experience. But it comes at a higher price tag and longer delivery timeline. Waiting for the KF-21 could mean leapfrogging into a newer platform. But it also means delaying the Philippines' ability to field a credible fighter force at a time when tensions with China are already rising. Make no mistake, the timing of this deal is directly influenced by the situation in the West Philippine Sea. China's growing assertiveness, building artificial islands, deploying Coast Guard and militia fleets, and harassing Filipino fishermen, has put pressure on Manila to strengthen its defense. The acquisition of MRFs is not just about prestige. It's about deterrence, showing potential aggressors that the Philippines can strike back if attacked. Alliances, proving to allies like the United States, Japan, and Australia that the Philippines is serious about modernizing its forces. Survivability, ensuring that the Philippine Air Force has the tools to protect its airspace, rather than being a bystander in its own territory. Even with the contract and NTP finalized, challenges remain, training pilots and ground crews, transitioning from FA-50s to advanced MRFs will require extensive training and new facilities. Logistics and maintenance, sustaining fighter jets is expensive and requires strong supply chains. Funding for future batches, the first batch may only cover a squadron, 12 aircraft. The Philippines will need at least 2 to 3 squadrons for meaningful air defense. Despite these challenges, the expected signing of the contract and NTP this year is nothing short of historic. For the first time since the retirement of the F-5s, the Philippines will once again have a true fighter jet fleet. It signals to the world, and to its own people, that the Philippines is serious about defending its skies. It also reflects a broader trend. After years of neglect, the armed forces of the Philippines is finally modernizing in a meaningful way. The coming months will be critical. If Max Defense Philippines is correct, by the end of this year, the Philippine Air Force will officially be on its way to acquiring multirole fighters. Whether the choice falls on the Gripen, the F-16, or even a delayed bet on the KF-21, the decision will shape the nation's defense for decades. What matters most is that after years of hesitation, the Philippines is finally taking off. And for a country that has waited so long for this moment, that is news worth celebrating.